All right, let's get right into it. We're about to unpack a massive, and I mean massive, shift happening in the global petrochemical industry. After digging through all the 2025 financial results, it's clear. A new competitive landscape is taking shape, and trust me, not everyone is going to come out on top. So let's break down what's really going on. This quote from ExxonMobil really says it all. It perfectly captures the absolutely brutal reality of 2025. This wasn't just a slow year, folks. It was what they call a bottom of the cycle year. It was a period of just intense pressure where profits were squeezed to the absolute limit. And that pressure, it set the stage for some really tough, really big decisions across the entire industry. And when I say big decisions, I mean numbers like this one, $8.6 billion. That's the asset write-down Saudi Aramco, one of the most profitable companies on the planet, had to report. Now, this is not pocket change. It was a huge red flag that even the mightiest players were feeling the pain and had to admit that some of their assets just weren't worth what they used to be. So that brings us to our first big idea. You see, analysts are now calling 2025 the industry's great impairment test year. Think of it like a moment of truth, where all the strategic choices made over the years were suddenly stress-tested by a terrible market. It forced a lot of companies to finally face the music on their balance sheets. So what caused all this chaos? Well, it was basically a perfect storm. On one side, you had a flood of new supply coming online, especially from these huge new facilities in China and the Middle East. That created a massive overcapacity problem. And on the other side, demand slowed down pretty much everywhere except China. This 1-2 punch just crushed profit margins, sending them to historic lows. It got so bad that some companies, like Malaysia's PCG, figured it was actually cheaper to just shut down production for a while instead of selling at a loss. Now, this downturn also gave us a peek into a really interesting financial strategy. It's called big bath accounting. When giants like Aramco and Sinopec posted those enormous losses, analysts immediately saw what was happening. The logic is kind of simple, really. If you're already having a terrible year, why not just write off all your other problem assets at the same time? You take one giant hit right now to clean the books, which makes your future years look way healthier in comparison. It's like hitting a financial reset button. Okay, so in response to this crisis, we're seeing the industry basically split into two completely different camps. First up, we've got the titans of scale. Their strategy is simple, but it is incredibly powerful. Get so big and so efficient that nobody, and I mean nobody, can compete with you on price. They're chasing what analysts are calling integrated cost hegemony. And this is what that strategy looks like. That's not just a factory. It's a sprawling, hyper-integrated fortress of production. For companies like Saudi Aramco, the whole game is to control every single step of the process, from pulling the cheapest raw materials out of the ground to shipping the final product. And they do it all at a scale that is just, well, it's breathtaking. Now, the two biggest titans, Aramco and Sinopec, actually get to this cost dominance in different ways. Aramco's advantage, well, it starts deep underground. They have unbelievably cheap oil extraction costs. We're talking just over $3 a barrel. Then they convert over half of that oil themselves. Sinopec, on the other hand, gets its advantage through pure raw size. They build the world's largest refining facilities to drive down costs through massive economies of scale. And here are the numbers to prove it. Just look at ethylene. It's a basic building block for all kinds of plastics. Sinopec has the largest capacity in the world, designed to feed its own huge domestic network. Even a giant like ExxonMobil, with its own cost advantages in North America, comes in second. This is what that scale hegemony looks like in the real world. But not everyone is playing the scale game. The second major strategy we're seeing is the polar opposite. I like to call these companies the masters of the molecule. Their goal isn't to be the cheapest. It's to be the only company that can make a specific high-value product. They're all about chasing specialty patent hegemony. This image right here from PCG's report, it's the perfect way to picture this strategy. It's a total pivot from smokestacks to science labs. The focus here isn't on volume at all. It's on intellectual property. It's about creating these unique materials, advanced polymers, and specialty chemicals that are so advanced they're protected by patents. And that protection lets these companies charge much, much higher prices. And we're seeing this pivot happening all over. Germany's BASF is building a gigantic new site in China, but it's specifically for specialty products. LG Chem is going all in on materials for electric vehicle batteries. Dow is actively selling off its basic chemical businesses to focus on these high-performance materials. And PCG, they launched 30 new specialty products in 2025 alone. I mean, the writing's on the wall. So think about it. You've got the titans of scale on one side and the masters of the molecule on the other. This creates a massive problem for anyone who's stuck in the middle. These are usually regional players who are too small to compete on price, but don't have the R&D budget to compete on innovation. They are in a very, very dangerous spot. And this is the most important question in this whole realignment. If you can't be the cheapest and you can't be the most innovative, what happens to you? What's the fate of these companies that don't have a clear path to either cost leadership or patent protection? Well, according to the analysts, the outlook is not good. Yeah, the warnings from independent research are pretty stark. They're pointing to companies like Korea's Lotte Chemical and flagging extreme cash flow vulnerability. They're warning that Thailand's IRPC could see its profits just fall off a cliff if its government incentives run out. The general feeling is that if these mid-tier players can't find the cash to make that pivot to specialty products, their very survival is at risk. Okay, so let's put it all together. What does this industry actually look like heading into 2026? Well, a new map is being drawn with these clear fault lines separating the winners from the companies that are really getting left behind. The analysts have even given this new reality a name, the bipolar competition era. And bipolar is the perfect word, because the industry is now defined by two opposing magnetic poles that are just sucking up all the value, all the capital, and all the talent. And that's leaving this kind of hollowed out, dangerous middle. And here they are, the two poles, side by side. On one side, you have the cost hegemony of Aramco and Sinopec, fighting for dominance in the high-volume commodity market. On the other side, you've got the patent hegemony of BASF, Dow, and LG Chem, battling it out in the high-margin, research-heavy world of specialty materials. It is a clash of two totally different ways of doing business. So what's the key takeaway here? It's this. The old way of competing in petrochemicals is over. For decades, the entire game was just about getting bigger. But now, the fight is about the quality and the focus of your assets. It is not enough to just be big anymore. You have to be the absolute cheapest, or you have to be totally unique. Anything in between is a serious weakness. And that leaves us with the final defining question for this entire industry. As these tectonic plates of competition continue to shift, where is the most value going to be created in the next decade? Will it be with the titans who can build at a scale we've literally never seen before? Or will it be with the masters who can design molecules nobody else can? The great realignment has officially begun.